Let us now look at a sutram which is not actually the main topic right now, but since it is connected to the current topic, let's take a look at it. It's the sutram Kritya Chaha. Kritya Chaha. Look at the number 8429. 8429. Now we are familiar with this section which runs from 841 up to 8439. That's the section for the what's called as Natvam. Natvam means the replacement of a nakaraha by a nakaraha. So that is the ra shabhyam nonas samanapade. This adhikara starts from here, which we are very familiar with. It ends at 8439. 8439. Now, in this adhikara, the last six rules, Shat Sutrani, which are from 8434, they are talking about a nishedha. So, no. So the last six rules of this adhikara, they're talking about a nishedha. But the sutram we're going to look at right now is 8429, Krityachaha. Krityachaha. So this 8429 is a Vidhi sutram. It is prescribing a nakara, the shine place of a nakara under certain conditions. Of course, we still have to ask ourselves, ask the question as to why could we not just use this sutram 84 841 842. 842 says at kupmang num yavayepi. So why did this sutram not work in our condition, in our situation? Why do we need 8429? We look at that question also. Before we do that, there's one anuvritti is coming here also. Anuvritti upasargat. Upasargat. So remember the anuvritti, upasarga. So here the nimittam for replacing the nakaraha by a nakaraha. What is the nimittam? Nimittam is the repaha and the murdhanya shakaraha. Ra sha bhyam. So the nimittam, a repa or murdhanya shakaraha. Nimittam can also be rikaraha, but in the case of a upasargaha, there is no rikaraha in any upasargaha. So therefore, nimittam is only rashabhyam, and that nimittam should be in the upasargaha. Okay, with that background, let us look at this sutram now in detail. Always read the vritti of the sutram. So these two things we should do is look at the sutram, look at the ashtadhyaya adhikaraha in which the sutram occurs, and then also read the vritti to make it clear that we have not missed any points in that. So vritti says upasarga sthan nimittat parasya uttarasya kritsthasya nasya natvam syat. So final thing is nasya natvam syat. Okay, which we know, but it says kritsthasya. That is why we're taking up this sutram right now. Kritsthasya, this nakaraha should be part of a krit pratyaya. Kritsthasya nasya natvam sya. So that's the first condition here. This sutram only applies if the nakaraha is a part of a krit affix. Krit affix. Now, of course, we know the section kridating, which starts from 3193. 3193 starts kridating. Kridating starts from 3193. And we also know that the adhikara of krityaha is contained within the adhikara of kridating. So every kritya pratyaha also has the krit sanya. Okay. So we have to make sure that the nakara in question is part of a krit pratyaya. There is one more condition which says that achaha uttarasya. The nakara should immediately follow a ach letter, which is a vowel. So this the two conditions. The nakara should be part of a krit pratyaya, and the nakara should immediately follow a vowel. The second condition. And then upasarga sthan nimittat. There should be a nimittam for the natvam, which is a repa or a murdanya shakaraha, which should be in the upasarga. Now upasargas are added to dhatu. Upasarga, they always go before a dhatu, which we have studied. So what we will have is that we'll have upasarga, which has a nimittam. There will be a dhatu following that, and then of course we know that the affix krit affix is added to the dhatu. So we'll have upasarga, which contains the nimittam, then dhatuhu, and then the affix, krit pratyaya. The krit pratyaya should have the nakaraha. The nakara should immediately follow a vowel. And the nimittam for natvam should be in the upasarga. Let's take a quick example. Let's take the udaharanam prayarniyam. Prayarniyam. Derived from dhatu ya prapane. Take the dhatu ya, add the pratyaya aniyar by tavyatavyaniyrah, which already we have studied, 3196. Anubandha lopaha halantyam tasya lopaha ya aniya akasavani dirghaha ya aniya. Very straightforward derivation, nothing special here. Yani gets a pradivedika sanya by krittazita samasascha. Now pro is upasarga. Upasarga kriya yoge, which also we have studied. The pradayah, when they are used kriya yoge, they get the upasarga sanya. Now actually here we are forming a compound. A compound, and compound we have not studied in detail yet. I will just mention a sutram which we will look at in detail later, which is used to form these kinds of compounds, and it's a tatpurusha samasaha. Tatpurusha samasaha, which is formed by sutram kugati pradayaha. Kugati pradayaha. This gati sanya includes the upasarga sanya. So those which have the upasarga sanya also have the gati sanya. So kugati pradeha is used to form this compound. That's a sutram which we'll come back to later on. Right now we can move ahead with our derivation with the idea that we'll come back to these compound details later on. So prayaniya, when we do that, now what we get prayaniya. Let's check all the conditions. The condition is that the upasargaha pra, it has the nimittam for the natvam, which is the repha. Then we have a kristhaha nakaraha, which is the nakara of aniya. Aniyar is a krit pratyaya, and that is the nakara is in there. Third condition is that the nakaraha should be immediately following a vowel, because we have the form yaniya. So nakara is immediately following a vowel akaraha over here. So these are three conditions. That nimittam should be in the upasargaha. In this case, the rephaha is the nimittam. There should be a nakara which belongs to krit pratyaya. In this case, aniyar has the nakaraha. And lastly, this nakara should immediately follow a vowel. In this case, akaraha, because yaniya. So we get prayaniya. One thing to remember is that we have to still check the conditions which are given by 842. At kupwang num vyavayepi. So at kupu ang num vyavayepi. So the nattam only takes place as long as the intervening letters are those given in this sutram at. So the intervening letters have to belong to the at pratyaharaha, or the kavargaha, or the pavargaha, or ang, or dum. So this has still to be checked. Never forget that in this entire adhikaraha we have to check that the intervening letters don't fall outside of those mentioned in 842. 842. So what we have here is that what do we have here? We have between the repha, which is nimittam, and the nakaraha, we have the intervening letters of a akaraha, which is here at the end of pra, has a akaraha. Then we have a yakaraha, and we have a akaraha. Now in both, I mean all of these, the akaraha, the yakaraha, and the akaraha, they all belong to the pratyahara at. Pratyahara at, because hayavarat. So the pratyahara at starts from all the way up to hayavarat. So all the intervening letters are within the at pratyahara in this case. So 842 is satisfied. The next question is that we should always check 842. Okay, the next question is that why do we even need 8429? Why cannot we just use 842 then? Why is 8429 required? The reason is that look at the anuvritti of samana pade, which runs throughout this section, samana pade. So when upasarga is added like that, we make a compound formation. The nimittam, the repha, is in prutak pade, a separate padam from the nakaraha. So here we have the nimittam is prutak pade, is a separate padam from the nakaraha. So we could not apply 842 because that requires samana pade. So therefore we require 8429. But even when you apply 8429, we still have to check that the intervening letters don't violate 842. Okay, so now we get the form prayaniya. This gets the krit sanya by krit tadita samasascha. And then this remaining part is always the same, is that if we take, napumsalinge prathama ekavachanam, see, the krit affixes, that means the kritya affixes, kritya pratyaha, are used bhavakarmanoho by the sutram tayoreva krityakta kalarthaha. So always keep in mind in which meaning are we using the sutram tayoreva krityakta kalarthaha. Now so means bhava karmano ho. The karmani prayoga is only possible if you have a sakarmaka prayoga. While bhava is always possible as long as there is an action and dhatu signifies an action, then bhava is always possible. But karmani is only possible if you have a sakarmaka prayoga. So as a default, we can just take a bhava as an example, and vivaksha in the case of bhave is always napumsakalinge prathama, means napumsakalinge ekvachanam. So if we take napumsakalinge prathama ekvachanam, if we take that, then it becomes prayaniya plus su, add the affix su. The su takes the adesha by atom, and the makara does not get these sanya because of na vibhaktau tusmaha. And finally we do ami purvaha. So this part is nothing special about this part. Is the same, because we are considering a bhave prayoga, it will be napumsakalinge ekavachanam, and here we're looking at prathama vibhakti ekavachanam. So one more time, 8429 is a sutram which prescribes a nakara adesha in place of a nakara as long as the nakara is part of a krit pratyaha, if the nakara is immediately following a vowel, and there is a upasarga, of course, prior to the dhatuho, which has a nimittam for natvam, which is a repha or the murdhanya shakara. When all these conditions are satisfied, and we still have to check that the intervening letters don't violate 842, when all this is satisfied, then the nakara takes the nakara deshaha. The reason we require this sutram, we could not just use 842 because 842 only applies samana pade, and the upasarga is the pruthak padam. So that's why we need 8429 to derive forms like prayaniya. The sutram also, of course, has wide application. It is not limited to kritya pratyaha as long as the nakara belongs to any krit pratyaha. So always keep in mind the domain of each sutram. The domain of this sutram is not confined to the kritya pratyaha. This domain of this sutram extends to all krit pratyaha as long as the nakara is there and satisfies the other conditions.